Well, welcome to our first local food town hall of 2026. We are glad to see everyone here. Hope everyone is staying warm and not accidentally driving into any snowbanks or things like that. We have three really great presentations today for our lightning presenters. So I hope you will enjoy them as much as I expect you to. I'm Rebecca McMahon. I'm a community food system specialist for Kansas State Extension, and our entire team is glad to see you all taking some time out of your day to join us and talk about what's happening in local food systems in Kansas. So a quick overview of where we're going today. Our three lightning presentations are going to be a look at the Double Up Protein Bucks program with Emily Lysen from the Lawrence Farmers Market. Next, we will both discuss and do a screening of The Table We Share, a documentary by some of our K-State students, Jessica Ramirez and Brock Edwards, and their team as well. And then finally, we're going to hear from Nick Levendofsky, who is the chair of our State Food Policy Council, to kind of share some updates about that organization, what they've got going on this year. So once we've done those, as usual, if you are new to this town hall setting, we do all those presentations straight through. If you have questions, you can put those in the chat. And then once the three presentations are done, we will go through and answer any questions. You can either unmute and ask questions, or you can, we'll answer what you put in the chat. From there, we'll go into program updates, some things that we've got going at K-State, other things that you've got to share. We encourage you to jump on and talk about those. And as always, we'll do a quick poll at the end for evaluation. So we are going to start with a poll here at the beginning. Let's get that launched here. All right. So our poll questions, if you've done this before, they're going to look familiar. How have you attended the town hall in the past? The next question is, what part of Kansas do you live in? I did add the KC Metro Missouri side this time as well, so that's in there. Once you've done that poll, if you want to go ahead in the chat, put your name, your location, your organization or business affiliation, if any, so that everyone in the room kind of gets to know who's here and stuff like that. All right, I'm going to end the poll. So looks like most of you have been to a town hall in the past, and we've got a few that this is their first time or have only been one other time. As far as where we're at in the state, we've got Northeast, North Central, no one Northwest today, Southwest, South Central, one person Southeast, a KC Metro, and three folks from outside of Kansas. So welcome to all of you. All right. So we are going to, one more piece of business. As a reminder, I think most of you have done this, but if you want to stay connected with our local food systems, our community food systems team, we encourage you to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Should be going out next week, which will have a recording of this town hall as well. So if you ever miss a town hall, it's a great way to kind of catch up and see what's been going on. So with that, we are going to jump into our first lightning presentation. So we're happy to have Emily Lysen, the Director of Development with the Lawrence Farmers Market, with us today. and sharing with us about their Double Up Protein Bucks program. So, Emily, I will turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, so I don't think I need any more introduction. We at the Lawrence Farmers Market are the longest running farmers market in Kansas. We are a producer only farmers market, and this is our 50th year celebration this year. We've been around since 1976, so we're really excited to showcase to you. We created our own token program a few years ago, and if you haven't heard about it, I'm excited to teach you all about what we did and why we did it and how we funded it. Next slide, please, Rebecca. So first off, we identified the need. One of the things is we are a nonprofit farmers market, so we're different than some of the other markets that might be run by the city or Parks and Rec departments. And so we are able to, start up our own things, fundraise for ourselves. And one of the things is, being a nonprofit, it's what kind of things do we provide to the community? And providing a token program was something that was really important to me. And I saw the need both in customers and vendors. So connecting it to our community health plan, our goal at Douglas County was to see a 1% reduction in food insecurity across our county. And so we're as a part of a person who's in different coalitions with the community health plan, we were trying to figure out what different ways, how do we get more people to sign up for SNAP? How do we get people to use SNAP? And tripling up their dollars was something that we thought was a really great idea. Um, and then we were just thinking about how Double Up Food Bucks itself only goes towards towards produce. So can we come up with a token that hits a different type of vendor? And at that time, we were seeing our vendors were having the cost for feed increasing, the cost for processing increasing. This was just coming out of COVID to where we had a lot of processing issues and there was long lines to get into processors. And so we were seeing a lot of delay in that and a lot of lost revenue, as well as there was a lot of death and lost wages due to the avian flu and heat that had happened. And so we were trying to come up with ways to figure this all out. And one of my things was leaning on that community health plan. And when I was coming about thinking about funding this, I was looking at a Douglas County Community Foundation grant, and that was focused on the community health plan. And a lot of our vendors that sell meats are lean proteins like grass-fed lean beef, pork, chicken, and eggs. And so I was trying to think of health focus of that. And we were able to get the omega testing done on our one of our farmers tasted the land, tested their ribeyes for fatty acids. And I used their quote, the omega 6-3 ratio was 1.669 to 1. To put this into perspective, grain-fed cattle typically tests around 9 to 1. And so a comparable ratio of their beef was to salmon, which is 1 to 1. So 1.669 to 1 with a 1 to 1 is really exciting from a nutritional standpoint. It can be a really high caloric efficiency. And that was another thing we had talked about a lot in community health work is the concept of time poor is people don't always have the time to be cooking fresh fruits and vegetables. And so is there a way we can reduce that and get their caloric intake up, but as well as get them nutritionally dense and quality food? Go on to the next slide, please, Rebecca. So our first year, I wrote a grant to the Live Well DC. This is Douglas County Community Foundation's Live Well Community Wellness Grant, and so we funded the first year with $7,613, and so out of that, 5,000 went to for tokens. So we created our own token. We then did a whole educational workshop with our vendors, and then we did a lot of marketing education with our customers to talk to them about how this new token worked. With our vendors, one of the things we did was ask them what they wanted to have included, right? What does this mean to them? What does protein mean to them? And we had requests, and we denied some things, but we also have we have protein balls as one of our products that's included, and that is the vendors who want to have like a protein ball or some type of baked product or processed product has to apply with their product, and all of their ingredients to be included into that. And so then we continued funding it the next year, and we took Live Well Douglas County's Community Wellness Grant and applied for that same one again. Rarely they approve that, but what we did was we chose to expand it to all of Douglas County. So we added in Cotton's Hardware Farmers Market into that grant. And we get that grant, we wrote that in 2024, but then it comes about, we implemented it in 2025. So then we took Giving for Good, which is an end of year fundraising. And so we combined that over $5,000 and that $10,000. And then so between Cotton's Hardware Farmers Market and Lawrence Farmers Market, we had double up protein bucks running, so triple up money running all throughout this last 2025. And then just to kind of go over, and we ran out of money really fast because it was such a successful program. So we paused it for a month, and then with SNAP cutbacks and in the pause and everything happened, we did a really fast fundraiser, and we were able to fundraise $15,000. And at that time, while SNAP was still frozen, what we did was we opened it up to anybody, and we gave protein bucks to anybody who came to us and said, we want that. And so for this next year, we'll close it back up to just SNAP users, but so we have some leftover from that donation campaign that we'll use, but then we built it into our actual budget. Our vendors and our board saw it as such a successful program that we will include this in our general operating budget for this next year. Next slide, please. So our first year, when we implemented this 2024, we saw an almost 90% redemption rate, which is really exciting. We had 20 vendors participate. One meat vendor reported that they had $1,192 alone in redemptions. That was really exciting. We saw an increase of SNAP customers. We saw an increase of SNAP redemption. Head on to the next one. And year two just increased. So our redemption rate was over 100%, but that's because we share the same token with Cotton's Market. So or they kept them from the previous year, but still incredible redemption. I mean, just like really successful program. We saw so many more people. Cotton's Farmers Market doubled their SNAP users. We saw 90 new SNAP users in this last year. We had a record-breaking year where we saw a week where we saw 34 SNAP customers come through that one week. And just to show you some impact with other programs, Double Up Food Bucks. In 2021, we were getting $8,000 for that SNAP matching program. And Aaron Bishop shared that this program has been so successful in getting more SNAP users that even that program itself has increased to $13,500 and it's actually more than that. We increased after I had this data, we increased our budget for last year even more. So we can see that more protein being bought means more produce being bought means people are just getting more local foods for themselves. Move on. That's it. Well, and I learned we're gonna save questions till after everybody. So continue on.
Thanks, Emily. So again, feel free to drop questions in the chat. Emily can respond to those in the chat, or we'll call them out for live answers later. All right, so our next question, or our next presentation is going to be with Brock Edwards and Jessica Ramirez, who are K-State students, and they're going to share with us about their documentary, and then we are going to show the documentary. So I will say when we get to that point, if your internet struggles sometimes with video and stuff like that, I encourage you to turn your video off just to keep your bandwidth a little bit smaller. So hopefully everything will go correctly. All right, so Jessica and Brock, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Jessica Ramirez. I go by Jess, and I am a what am I? I'm a PhD candidate in leadership communication. I also teach in the Staley School of Leadership. And then in this particular role, I was a student intern with the Hungry Heartland Project, also housed under the Chapman Center for Rural Studies. So I'll pass it over to Brock to introduce himself really quick as well.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Brock. I'm a master's student in the sociology program here at K-State, and also um, involved with the Hungry Heartland Project, which is where this documentary came out, which under the Rural Chapman Center, as Jess mentioned. But yeah, I'll turn it back over to Jess. That's me, and yeah.
Awesome. So the table we share is an original documentary created by a small but mighty team, including myself, Brock, Evan as well, who is an undergraduate student working in student publications and graphic design, as well as Muthoni Kiunga, and she is a PhD student in leadership communication. And then, of course, our faculty leads Dr. Valerie Padilla-Carroll in social transformation studies and Dr. Tom Halak, who is on this meeting from media and communications. So a little bit of context, as Brock mentioned, this documentary sits within a larger Hungry Heartland project. It also emerged through the work with the interns for the Chapman Center for Rural Studies. Our focus was really to continue on existing digital storytelling efforts through documentaries, short videos, photo essays, all of that good stuff. And we were really focused on stories of resilience, particularly around food access, food security, community-led responses to those issues. So how the project kind of took place, the process really took off after a series of Zoom meetings with our team. We spent a lot of time figuring out where we wanted to go, deciding whose voices we needed to center in this work, talking through our approach, kind of talking through ethics around that as well. And then, yeah, we came up with a lot of different directions for this documentary. And I just want to kind of state this, that this is actually just a very small snippet of a much bigger project that we hope to continue working on. My personal kind of entry point, I joined the team after working with Valerie through the Engaged Stories Lab, which I think you all should check out as well. And around that same time, I had just come back from an alternative breaks in Garden City. And I truly believe that experience completely changed the way I saw food systems. I came into this work and was like, if we're still looking for a place to go, if we think, if we're even considering it all, we should go to Garden City. And so I had met some people out there, made a few connections, but the larger project that you all will get to see here involved a lot of cold calls. And ultimately, we ended up going to several different places and meeting with individual community members in Garden City. So some of the organizations that we met with were La Comunidad, which is a church, and they also do a mobile food distribution in Garden City. Emmaus House, which you'll see featured here in this video, Catholic Charities, among several others. I conducted interviews, so did Muthoni, and then, of course, Brock and Evan and Dr. Halak were really focused on the production side, coming in with their cameras and all of their awesome equipment. So, yes, this is not, as I mentioned, not meant to be a comprehensive or final kind of project, but it is a really cool snippet and has won multiple awards, which is, of course, not the point, but still really cool that we were able to do this and highlight an awesome organization doing really incredible work. So I will now have you all play the documentary, and then after I'll turn it over to Brock.
Como venimos los lunes, los jueves y ahora viernes, venimos aquí al hospital, porque yo estoy descontrolada.
The perception is if you're going to a pantry to get food, I know, because we work at the same place, I know you work, but we don't know what their personal situation is. They could have medical bills that they've been paying on for 15 years, or they could have had something happen where they're having to help their family. Look at yourself, look at your neighbor. You don't know what they're going through. You have no idea understanding the struggles they may have inside their house. As Christians, that's what we expect people to do, You help people. You don't know what situation there is, so what right do you have to judge? Period.
Thank you.
In 1978, we had quite a few migrants come into Garden City, and they end up having to sleep on church benches because there was no place to stay. There was no shelter. There was no nothing. So the Catholic Church went to the diocese in Dodge City and said, this is what we have going on. Can you help us? They found this property and they bought it. Over the years, it has evolved into the needs of the community, which people need longer shelter. They need food access. So this has evolved into the homeless shelter, the soup kitchen, and the food box distribution.
There is a need. There really is. We serve anywhere from 70, be about 140 to 240 families that come here and see food.
Oh, yeah. We see a lot of elderly individuals that all they get is about $650 a month. By the time they pay their, rent, utilities, even if they have assistance, medical bills, they have no money to buy food. And usually we're their sole survivor as far as handing out food boxes. The only place they get food is right here at this shelter. Sometimes it's like a roller coaster ride. When I first started here, we had like the basement and things were falling apart. Literally, you rub your hands, you're crumbling it. And there were a lot of grants that were accessible back then. And was able to get a lot of government grants to help rebuild this facility and make it to what it is today. We don't have that capability right now. We don't have any access to grants right now. Okay. And it changes as the government changes. The money that we were able to access back then, we're not able to access today. So you look at different direction. When you have a tough year, like we did last year, just what the economy's doing, what the Democrats and Republicans are doing, their decisions affects us greatly. Every decision right now that's made the Capitol Hill, Washington, D.C. is affecting us. Every decision. That's a big thing. It really is, whether people realize that or not. It trickles down and it affects every state in the United States and then every city in the United States. Okay. And I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody. I'm just trying to simply say, as you have those decisions being made, good, bad, and different, it directly affects everyone, but it affects the different nonprofit organizations that are out there to feed the hungry, okay? Shelter the needy. These people are looking for jobs, or they are working. It's not like they're just being a bum. They're not. They've literally had life situations or life circumstances that could be a family of 5, and they can't pay their bills and feed their kids. So you've got to give up one to have the others. But as long as you're helping yourself, we're going to work with you. We're here to give you a hand up, not a handout. Okay? If you try to help yourself, we're not pushing you back down in that hole. Well, let's do this together.
Entonces, cuando vienen al hospital, también vienen
Venimos aquí
a recoger comida
Sí,
de una vez.
Sí, de una vez, gracias
Qué
a
bueno.
Dios.
There is no solution. Let's be honest with each other. Because we're a wasteful society, a wasteful world. Let's figure out how we can fix that. Fix that issue. That's a mindset. But until that happens, be the one that cares. Be the one that's compassionate. Be the one that's willing to reach out and say, how can I help you? I always want us to be the place that you knock on our door and it's open. If we have it, we would give it. If we can help you, we're going to help you. If we can't, we're going to find somebody that can. That's what I want people to know about Amaze House.
¿Y cuántos? ¿Ha venido por años, meses?
Tenemos ahorita como 3 años viniendo.
3 años. ¿Y si te ayuda a venir aquí?
Sí, la verdad es que sí. Ponen cajas ahí, nos dicen la cosa de cada uno y agarramos nuestras
Qué bueno.
cosas.
there, unless you want to watch all the credits.
Well, I feel like everyone should be recognized, but if you want to go ahead and talk, well,
I'll just touch briefly on the production side, just because I know that the actual video took a while. But I think, even just kind of going off of what Jess said, a large part of like what I got to come in to do was the video production side. So a lot of the video and the editing, and I wasn't somebody who necessarily came with a large background on food security and food production or food insecurity as a whole. And so when we were having these Zoom interview or these Zoom meetings that Jess was talking about, we were doing research. We were looking at places that we wanted to study and go see what was happening within this larger picture that we're talking about. And so I formed an idea of what was happening, and looking at the theories and things that we had been talking about, and that was a great foundation to be able to look at some of these things. But it wasn't until I was able to go to these places, and I think Emmaus House, for all of us, was a place that really hit. But it was a place that we weren't even initially looking to tell the story. It kind of just happened, and Robin, who was the main person that we interviewed, who has spent a long time running Emmaus House, I think just really showed a very clear picture of the things that they are working through, and then even those who are coming through Emmaus House and what that looks like. And so it, I think, just really showed the reality of like the things that we, are studying at K-State, or, all these places, and then being able to be uh, on the ground and seeing people's lives, and how places like Emmaus House and like these community building aspects. Emmaus House, like, she's talking about how they went from one thing being like a shelter to all these other things because of a need. And so I think it was just a very powerful for me, for somebody who had not spent time uh, in the food systems world, to be able to see what was going on from that perspective. And it really changed how I even view food and food production, and the whole ecosystem of that. And so that, and also just, I think, kind of as somebody who has a camera in these situations, and somebody who is editing this video, we had hours of footage, and we trimmed it down to a 7-minute video. How do we make sure we're telling the right story? How do we make sure the right voices are being included and not limited, and do that in a way that everyone feels ethically represented or fair, or that we didn't. And so those were all the things that I think were going through our heads when we were working on this. But as well, it's like kind of what transformed me when I was working on this project of whose voices are heard, and who are the people that are being most affected. Um, and so that's a little bit of the production side, and how it, I think, kind of pulled me into the just the local food world as a whole.
And I'll just add, I think Brock is being incredibly humble, but he truly did such a good job at painting these people in this video with so much dignity. And Tom and Evan and just everyone on the team, and we truly are an interdisciplinary team. I take photos with my phone, and that's pretty much it. But just there was such a different direction that this short video could have gone, painting these individuals as victims, or as people who are just here to get food, and then, just here for a handout, or whatever the case may be. And I think that our team really did a good job at being able to show the human side, right? Like that humanity piece and that dignity piece, which was really central to our work. So, yeah, thank you all so much. And there's much more to come. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being here. We're excited to see what comes next. So, all right. So next up, we have Nick Levendofsky. And Nick, I'm gonna swap over to you.
Okay.
Microphone's here.
Can everybody hear me all right? Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nick Levendofsky. In my day job, I'm the executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union, as you can see behind me. I happen to be in our McPherson office today, so that's why I've got that wonderful background. But I normally work from home in Cortland, Kansas, so north central Kansas is where I'm located. But I do have the honor, in addition to being executive director at KFU, of being the inaugural, I guess you could say, chair of the Kansas Food Policy Council. And as you can see there, thank you to Rebecca for pulling this slide together for me on the voting members and then the formation committee that serve as advisory non-voting members. And I'm not going to go through each one of those names individually, but I would imagine that there's some of those folks on this call today that make up the council. And I imagine there's some folks who you recognize from that list as well in the work that you're doing. But as you can see, we cover the gamut when it comes to food and even farm policy across the state, farm organizations, obviously specialty crop growers, folks that work within the food system itself in their regions and their communities. And I'm really proud of the fact that here in the last, I would say, 6 or so months, we've expanded our coalition, our council, to be more inclusive of those who live in areas that maybe don't get as much focus. Folks in Southwest Kansas, for instance, and making sure that we have all of our bases covered, I think, is really important when it comes to food policy, because the issues that I face in North Central Kansas when it comes to food access, food insecurity, those kinds of things, and not just me myself, but people in my area are going to be very different compared to those in Wichita, compared to those in Salina, compared to those in Iola or in Garden City. So we wanted to make sure that we had everybody covered on this. And we may not even be there yet, but I think we're on our way, which I'm really proud of. So a few of those names have changed. I know, for instance, Barb Depew just recently retired from the Kansas Department of Education, but I believe we have a new name that we'll be adding in there. I think that might be Aaron, in fact. So, but yeah, we're a growing organization, and we bring a lot of ideas to the table, which I think is great. So let's go on to the next slide, Rebecca. We recently met in December ahead of the 2026 legislative session. Obviously, that started here just in the last couple weeks. But we really needed to kind of solidify where we stand as an organization. Obviously, we are nonpartisan, cross-sector advisory body, and we bring together leaders, as I said, from ag, public health, education, community organizations, business, and government to strengthen our state's food system. We provide research, coordination, and policy recommendations that promote a resilient, equitable, and economically vibrant food environment for everyone. So when we met back in December, we determined what our pillars were going to be, or priorities, so to speak, moving forward, especially when we look at what's happening in the legislative session this year. And those four include agricultural opportunity, food access and security, land use, and water stewardship. We felt like all four of those things really worked well together, and that these were all things that we had plenty of expertise and experience in the room, in the council, to deal with that. So we developed some steering committees around those four pillars, and those, as you can see, are led by a number of different individuals. I'm leading the Ag Opportunity pillar. Maryland, and I'm blanking on where Maryland's from. I hate to guess right now, but she's going to do food access and security. Land use is our good friend Tom Buller over at Kansas Rural Center. and then water stewardship. Michelle down in Wichita is going to lead that for us. One of the big things that I have asked for each of the committees to do and the folks that are working on them is to really develop an explanatory statement as to what it is your individual group or committee, whatever you want to call it, steering committee, is going to be doing in the work that you have been tasked with. So there'll be an explanatory statement on each one of those that's developed here very soon, and we'll get those all updated as things move along. But certainly the legislative session is moving very fast right now, and we are engaging in a number of areas. I know that one area of concern is the challenges that the state will be dealing with and is dealing with when it comes to SNAP, the funding that comes from the federal level for that. Oh, thanks, Tom. Marilyn Logan from Moran. Thank you. So on the SNAP issue, obviously there were cuts that were made in reconciliation to SNAP, and unfortunately, that means a lot of those costs have to come back on the state level, and a number of other concerns that come along with that'll have to be dealt with during this legislative session. So we are engaging in that, obviously, because that is important to so many Kansans. As was mentioned earlier in the video, it is a hand up, not a handout. And we believe that, and we want to continue to work toward making sure that those who need access to those funds and those programs can gain that access. So those are some of the big things right now that we're working on. And if there's any interest at all from the group here or others that you might know, if you feel like there are gaps in what we have as far as representation on the committee, on the council itself, we're always open to discussions about how we might improve on that, who we might add to the mix if that's something that comes up. But happy to leave it there for now, and we can move forward if there's any questions.
All right. So with that, we will take some questions for our three different presenters. I know there was some conversation in the chat about the double up protein bucks as far as other markets and things like that. Emily or Aaron, I didn't know if either of you wanted to share your response out loud.
We were asked if there was other markets that had double up protein bucks, and right now there is not. So it's just Lawrence Farmers Market and Cotton's Market. However, our intention is to eventually expand as well to Eudora Farmers Market. They have not. They just started their market 2 Septembers ago, and last year was their first full season. So they have not started SNAP yet. So once they get SNAP registered and up and going, we'll get them up with double up food bucks, and we'll slowly ease them into all the different token programs. We have to figure out a funding situation for Cotton's Farmers Market if they want to continue using that token first. That'll be a goal for us for this year. There are other programs around the country with other farmers markets doing, they don't call it double up protein bucks, they call it something different, but there are other protein programs out there, meat programs, dairy programs specifically. Erin had shared, I don't know if she wants to pop on, but she had shared that there are other Kansas markets that are doing triple up matching for just general things, general food, and all SNAP foods in general.
Can you all hear me? This is Erin.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, sorry, I'm on my phone today as I'm out of town for a doctor's appointment. But as I mentioned in the chat, I do work with a couple of markets that are have fundraised triple match days, so just days with extra produce. And I have one market I work with that is fundraised to provide essentially a triple match on all SNAP foods. So it's the SNAP dollars, the double up dollars, and then the triple match. But the protein match, the double up protein bucks with Emily is unique with what she's been doing, and she's been doing an excellent job. And we saw a huge increase in just SNAP and double up sales and redemptions once that double up was implemented. So really great work, Emily. You are amazing.
Thanks, Erin and Emily. It looks like we've got several questions for Nick here. So the first question is from Shelley Rich. If there's a meeting schedule for the Kansas Food Policy Council that's posted, and are the meetings open to the public?
Yeah, Shelley, and I just dropped in the chat. I don't think we have those meetings listed on our website. If we do, I've missed that, but certainly feel free to reach out to me. My email is nick@kansasfarmersunion.org, NICK, and I can get you that information, and we'd love to have you join us as a guest. So please send me an email, and we'll get you all the info that you need.
All right. Next question, also for Nick. Do you see a pathway for the Kansas Food Policy Council to be an official advisory board for the Kansas state government? Or is that even a goal?
Boy, I don't know. That's a good question. That might be something we'd want to talk about as a full council. I don't know that I want to give any sway one way or the other there, but I think at this point, and this is just me kind of spitballing right now, I think at this point we would rather just observe and kind of keep a close eye on what's happening and not engage as much on that legislative level unless we absolutely have to. And I'll tell you why. Because especially this session, it's moving very quickly. Things are happening at a much faster pace, and primarily it's because it's an election year, and really they just want to kind of get done and get back home so that they can campaign. So I think it's going to vary from year to year when it comes to something like this. But obviously, we want to introduce ourselves, let people know who we are, what we do, the things that matter to us. That's why we've outlined those pillars, those priorities. But I'm not opposed to having that conversation with the full council as time goes on. But I think where we are kind of still in our infancy, it's probably best for us to just kind of stay where we're at and see where that path might lead us. But thanks for that good question.
I think I could maybe throw in a little bit about the formation, process, and I know Eileen's on here and could speak to it as well. That the initial formation was part of our RFSP grant. The Kansas Food Action Network was working with that, and they explored, the different options, connecting it to government, being embedded in government, being part of the university, being, with the nonprofit, and ultimately ended up to stick with being with KFAN, rather than, being in a more official role to start with, just because with the political situation, things can change from year to year, and other states have had situations where their council has been disbanded if if the legislature disagrees with what they are supporting, or they've been defunded or things like that. So that was part of that initial reasoning. And I think also, like, the council is still really new. We, as a group, we haven't hardly had time ourselves to figure out where we agree and disagree with each other, let alone really being able to take a lot of policy positions. So I think, give the whole council a year or two and things might look a little different. Does that seem fair, Nick?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll jump ahead here. All right. So a couple quick updates. Our next town hall will be Wednesday, April 29th. You all are here, so you're already all registered, but you can always encourage other folks to register as well. Things that we've got coming up, our local food producer workshops are coming up starting just next week in Olathe and Hutchinson, and then moving around the state to 7 different locations. So these workshops are really great for farmers market managers, farmers market vendors, or anyone who's interested in selling direct to consumer. The topics vary, so you'll want to go onto our website. Clara dropped that link into the chat, and check out the agenda for each individual workshop. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is that we have updated our food sold directly to consumers regulatory guide. So we update this every year. This is our 2026 version. Clara just dropped that into the chat. So this is the guide that tells you what you can sell at farmers markets and how you sell it at farmers markets and all those things. It also includes all of like our cottage food information, which we don't really call cottage food in Kansas, but all of that is in here. We've added kind of this changes and updates section to the inside cover, so it's easier to figure out what has been updated. And then the other kind of thing that I hope will be really useful is we're in the process of making a 4-page quick guide that just covers the foods that can be sold without licensing, so what are often called, quote unquote cottage foods. So hopefully we'll have that. We just got the proof this morning, so hopefully we'll have that out and ready to use in a couple more weeks. The last thing I wanted to mention that some of you will be seeing more about in the coming month is the National Farmers Market Survey. Michigan State University is spearheading this effort, but it is a national survey of farmers markets. The survey will be coming out in mid-February, and they'll be collecting survey responses for a few weeks. So, this is something to share with your local farmers market managers or organizers, things like that. They want everyone. If you have a 2-vendor tiny farmers market that exists once a month in your community, they want them to be captured in the survey. And if you're a multi-location, multiple times a week market, they want you captured in the survey. So we'll be sure to send that along when we see that. All right. So we've got about 10 minutes left with our time. So I would like to open it up for any program updates from anyone else across the state, news updates, resources, events coming up, whatever you would like to share. And also, feel free to drop it in the chat, but you can also come off and tell us a little bit more. Clara.
I just dropped a link in the chat, but we're excited that registration is officially open for the 2026 National Rural Grocery Summit. This is an event that the K-State Rural Grocery Initiative team hosts every other year. And this year we're going to be holding it in Fargo, North Dakota, May 5th through the 7th. So we would love to see some of you there. If you're interested in increasing access to healthy foods in rural communities, this is a great opportunity to learn from and with others doing work in that space across the country. And so I dropped the link to register in the chat. You'll want to register by March 15th to take advantage of early bird pricing, although we do offer free registration to grocers. And this year we are also going to charter a bus that will make stops in Wichita and Kansas City en route to Fargo. So I dropped a link to that as well in the chat if you would like to sign up to be able to ride the bus to get there. So thank you.
All right. Nick, your hand is raised.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks again. Real quick, I'm going to drop in the chat. Kansas Farmers Union is hiring a position around the grant that we received. It's the Homegrown Prosperity Grant. We received some funding through the Patterson Family Foundation, and it's a partnership with NCBA CLUSA, which is the International Cooperative Organization. And we're working as well with Common Ground Producers and Growers out of Wichita. Missouri Farmers Union is a partner with us on this as well. But the employee will be a KFU employee, a cooperative development specialist. So it's a 2-year program starting with education around co-ops, what they are, what they look like, how they work, and really kind of thinking outside the box, and working in rural parts of the states of Kansas and Missouri. So we're talking not just your grain elevator co-ops that a lot of people think about, but we're talking housing co-ops and childcare co-ops and grocery store co-ops and any other kind of co-ops that could come to mind. So educating folks on what those look like in the first year, and then in the second year, developing those cooperatives. And we're looking at developing up to 10. That's our goal for the next 2 years. So we're really excited about this opportunity. Please share it. If you know anyone that has some interest, some background in co-ops, and is looking for a position, please let us know. The position is open for the next month. Thanks.
All right. Tom, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the Kansas Rural Center's annual conference is coming up on February 14th. If Nick had your attention because you're interested in co-ops, our keynote speaker is Alex Stone from Cooperation Works, which is an organization, a national organization, but she's based out of San Francisco, interested in promoting cooperatives across the country. I'll drop the information about that in the chat, how to find out more. We also have 2 more events coming up in March that I don't have registration up for just yet. But on Friday the 27th and Saturday the 28th, we're going to have a 2-day sort of farm legal series, also in Lawrence, which is where our conference is. This will be at the fairgrounds. On Friday, it's kind of an overview of law for farmers, really specifically focused on people doing, maybe more direct marketing rather than conventional farms, but there's some lessons for everybody in there. And then on Saturday, the 28th, we're going to be taking a deep dive into law around agricultural employment. So if you're a farmer hiring people, that can be super helpful to make sure you've got all your bases covered. If you're a farmer interested, especially in like the H2A program, there will be a lot of information about that as well. So stay tuned at kansasruralcenter.org for more information on those workshops when we get that registration posted.
Thanks, Tom. Let's see. Emily and Brienne, I know you both posted some things in the chat. Feel free to unmute if you want.
This is Emily. Sure. I just was posting about that if you're not aware, you've never been, the Kaw Valley Seed Fair is Saturday, February 14th, same day as the Kansas Rural Center's event, but it is a super cool event. It is a free seed swap. There's lots of educational presentations. It's kind of like a little mini farmers market. It's happening in Lawrence, Kansas at the Douglas County Fairgrounds. It is a really cool event to just like connect with people, get really excited for the season, give a bunch of seeds you've been saving and get some new ones. There's native, there's prairie plants, there's also vegetables and fruits and all different types of things. You can also buy plants from different vendors.
Thanks, Emily. Brienne, did you want to share anything?
Sure, I can go next. I put a link to the 21st annual Farmers and Friends meeting, which is taking place on February 7th this year in Midtown Kansas City. I hope you all can make it. Pie breakfast, pizza pie lunch, and lots of inspiration and peer-to-peer education. Thanks.
Thanks, Brienne. Brittany, do you want to share about some of the opportunities you've listed in the chat?
Sorry, computer's slowly bringing my camera and audio up. I just put in some different opportunities that we've been trying to promote to producers. The USDA has opened their value-added producer grant. That application is due on April 15th, so some of you may know producers of raw agricultural products that are making value-added products that could apply for that. And then we're also preparing for the launch of the upcoming specialty crop block grant program. So we're seeking industry input on funding priorities. So there's also a survey for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Brittany. Claire, did you want to talk about the KHFI grant?
Sorry to pop back on. I realized after I finished speaking, I didn't share about our Kansas Healthy Food Initiative pre-development technical assistance grant program. We've reopened our third round. Applications are due February 27th. And so these grants of up to $40,000 are designed for businesses and organizations that are increasing healthy food retail in the state and can help cover pre-development costs like market or feasibility research, architectural design assistance or site planning, community assessments and engagement, business planning, legal counsel, those kind of expenses. So the deadline to apply is February 27th. And we're also offering office hours this time around to help answer questions. And our first offering of those office hours will be tomorrow. So I dropped a link to the website with more information.
All right. I see Emily dropped the Lawrence Farmers Market vendor application in the chat. Anything else? Announcements?
I'll say, like, besides vendors, I should have put this. It's also community booths. So if you are a nonprofit organization, you want to get in front of our 4,400 customers each week in Lawrence and in Douglas County, we do have community booths available at our market as well.
Thanks, Emily. Okay, any other announcements? Otherwise, I'm going to launch our closing poll for you. So just asking if you feel like the town halls have helped you connect more, if you've learned something new today, and what topics were valuable to you. As well as how many folks you'll share something with, and if you have suggestions for speakers or topics at our next town hall. We're trying to focus more on, projects that are happening across the state. So if you know something cool going on, or if you have something cool you've been doing, feel free to send that our direction. So with that, that wraps up our town hall for the day. So as you finish up your poll questions, you are welcome to head off to hopefully a tasty lunch, maybe some local food lunch. And we'll look forward to seeing you all back again in April. Thanks, everyone.